Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Big Game Bound. I'm Jack Dole. So glad you tuned in. And then there were two. Only two teams remain in the quest to win the Lombardi Trophy, and they've got their sights set on Tampa now. Coming up on Big Game Bound, Jarrett Payton joins us from Chicago to talk about the quarterback matchup, the GOAT versus the baby goat, and what's next for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And we'll check in with our correspondents, Rob Collins in Kansas City and Dan Lucas in Tampa. There it is. The Super Bowl is all set. February 7, 6:30 kickoff on CBS. And you'll see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a pretty good quarterback matchup. We'll start with the insights of Jarrett Payton. Joins us every week from Chicago. Jarrett, this Super Bowl all set. Brady and the Bucs, Mahomes and the Chiefs. Who do you like?
Well, Jack, this is one of those matchups that I think football fans, regardless if you have any alliance to these teams, you want to see these quarterbacks going at it. You have the GOAT and the baby GOAT. I think this is primetime matchup for all football fans. But for me, when I look at both teams all season long, credit to Tampa Bay for figuring it out and having their bumps and bruises during the year. I told you, Kansas City always seemed to be on cruise control. And just seeing the AFC Championship game against the Bills, watching Patrick Mahomes and that offense, there's too many things that you have to figure out and try to stop on the offensive side of the ball. So for me, I'm going with the Chiefs. They're going to be back-to-back Super Bowl champions for the first time since Tom Brady did it back in the early 2000s.
Let's talk about Brady a second. This resume he's put together is just ridiculous. This is his 10th Super Bowl. He's only the fourth quarterback to lead two different teams to a Super Bowl. 33 playoff wins. Joe Montana's second with 16. Do we fully appreciate what Tom Brady has done in the NFL?
Well, if you're a true football fan, yeah, I think especially if you're, a Patriots fan or now a Bucs fan, then you really see what he means to an organization and to a team to be able to get you to the big game. But if you're on the outside, I think a lot of people are frustrated. It's funny, Jack. I talk to so many people who are so tired of seeing, Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. And I understand it. I've gone to every single one since '99. So for me, I understand what it means. But, yeah, he's unbelievable. He's gave this game of football pretty much everything that you can give, especially at the quarterback position. And you and I know both that it's tough, to be on all the time at the quarterback position and to deliver, especially in big moments. And you love him or hate him, you have to give him his respect. And that, to me, is at the top of the top. And that's the GOAT status because I think everybody's going to be chasing him. But the funny thing is, Jack, when you look at it, the guy that he's playing against in Tampa seems like he's going to be on that run. He could be on that next run of being at multiple Super Bowls, and it's cool to be able to see, does he, hold on to the crown or does he pass the torch to the young kid, Patrick Mahomes? So I think Tom Brady deserves all the credit in the world for what he's been able to do on the football field.
Yeah, but heavy is the crown. I think, Jarrett, the people that are tired of it are the same ones that were tired of seeing Michael Jordan win NBA championships and LeBron James doing the same thing now. To get here, the Bucs had to beat Drew Brees in New Orleans, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Can they do that with anybody else at quarterback?
Probably not. I mean, you never know, right? I have no clue. I mean, you throw another quarterback in there, I just don't know if they're able to get it done. The one thing that I know that Tom Brady brings to any team that he is on, especially from, his time of winning Super Bowls and MVPs with the New England Patriots to now to Tampa, is that, the guys inside of that locker room, especially on the offensive side of the ball, they saw how he comes in and works and how he prepares and how serious he is. And so, you got to fall in line. And I think that's what you saw is that, people admire him from afar. But then when you're playing with him, you see that he demands everything that you can give him. And then he's going to keep demanding it even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like doing it. I think that's what breeds championships. That's what breeds champions. And that's what he's been able to do. And I think you look at this Tampa Bay squad, they're happy to have him, but also just to be able to learn from him as a mentor as well, because how much time does he have left? I mean, he could probably play till he's 50, but if that doesn't happen, a lot of these guys are getting an opportunity to be able to learn from the best.
Mahomes only in his 4th season in the NFL, and we're already asking questions about his legacy. If the Chiefs win, they become the first team, as you said, since Brady's Patriots in 2005 to win back-to-back Super Bowls. How important is that to Mahomes' legacy?
I think it's huge. I mean, as he's building and growing, he's done it at such a rapid pace early on in his career. And so, a lot of people just I think, take it for granted a little bit. And going back to your question about, Tom Brady, do we give him enough credit? I look at some of the offensive weapons that, Patrick Mahomes has, and, a lot of talk, especially going into this game, is just about, Kelsey and Hill. And I think sometimes you forget about the guy that's actually throwing the ball and also can run it himself. But he's done it at such a fast pace that I think people are kind of blindsided by it just a little bit. But, man, his legacy, it's already started, man. And we're being witnesses to it all the time now if you watch NFL football. And just to be able to see what he's been able to do at a short period of time, it just goes on to show that if he can beat, the GOAT, I mean, this is going to be on his resume. And we're probably talking about back-to-back Super Bowl MVPs and, Super Bowl championships. And I think that right there is something that is just remarkable for what he's done in his young career, but also, too, just what he's been able to accomplish so far at a young age. It's just amazing to see. And it's hard because now every team thinks that their young quarterback should be able to live up to that standard. And we all know those guys come a dime a dozen, and it's really remarkable to see what he's done.
Let's talk about this coaching matchup, Jarrett. Andy Reid, Bruce Arians. Which team has the advantage?
Both coaches are I love both coaches. They both have a soft spot in my heart. I'm going to go with Andy Reid. I mean, he's been here. He was just here last year. And, what he's been able to do to kind of keep his team together and how they've kind of gelled, and they never seem like they're breaking apart at any level, and that he has that same, the same kind of rapport with his guys, the same way that he has it with his coaches as well. And I just think they're a well-oiled machine, and his brain, especially offensively, coming up with new schemes and running things that the Bucs are probably going to be watching. The defense is going to be watching how the offense played. He's going to have so many different wrinkles ready to go for that Super Bowl. So I can never count out Andy Reid.
Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of talk about his frustration, and now perhaps maybe forcing his way out of Green Bay, as crazy as it sounds. But remember, Brett Favre pretty much did the same thing after the Packers took a quarterback named Rodgers in the draft. Last year, Packers took a quarterback in the draft, and it didn't sit well with Rodgers. How does Green Bay mend this fence?
I don't know if they can. I really don't. I mean, you kind of already you started unraveling everything once you went and got Jordan Love. But you know what? I mean, you just said it, Jack. You look back on the era. This is how they do business. This is how the Packers do business. They did it with Brett Favre. Now they're doing it with Aaron Rodgers. But they've done it right so far. And Jordan Love, if he's the next guy, he better be ready to go, and he better be ready to go quick and soon, because those fans in Green Bay aren't going to want to wait long. And so I just look at a guy like Rodgers. He's still, this year, MVP caliber season. You know that he still has a lot in him. To me, it's putting together what they should have done last year in the draft, is figuring out more ways to get him more weapons, to surround him with more weapons, and make that defense top-notch, because the defense is still not top-notch. And, the fact that he's only won one Super Bowl in his long career, it just shouldn't sit right with him either. So I don't see him going anywhere unless he really wants out, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Teams are going to have to give up a lot to be able to get, an aging quarterback that still seems like he's in his prime. But I think it's pretty much give him whatever he wants to be successful, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and surround him with talent so he can leave out as, his time starts to run down, that he can leave out with another Super Bowl championship, because it is a travesty that they've had Aaron Rodgers for, going on 17 years coming up, and still have not won more than just one Super Bowl. If I was a Green Bay fan, man, I'd be super upset.
But I'm sure a lot of people would trade places with Green Bay fans who've been suffering with a team without a quarterback for a long, long time. Jared, you have been part of Super Bowl week for years, handing out the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Your father won a Super Bowl with the Bears. What makes this game the spectacle that it is?
It's just the greatest thing on earth. It's with everybody, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. They tune in for the Super Bowl. I don't know if it's, the commercials or just the buzz of how, the short NFL season is to all those other seasons, and everybody's locked in every single week, every single game. And Jack, I think, fantasy football has changed the way that we've all watched the game as well. It's not just about your team anymore. You know about every single player offensively. You know about defenses because you have a fantasy team. So I think that is just elevated the game even more now. So it's not just people who are watching it here in the States. It's worldwide. And there's something about this game that it's so hard to get to, my dad always told me. And, he tried for a long time to get there and only got a chance to go once. And so you never want to take it for granted. And you never know if you're going to get a chance to come back. So you got to make the most of it at that time. And so it's that game that everybody wants to win. And the trophy over my shoulder, it's what people want to be able to bring home to their city. And it's like no other at all. And so just being able to be there, never even playing in one, but being there, it gives me chills every single year that I go. So looking forward to this one because I think it's going to be a great one, but also never going to take advantage of looking at how amazing this game is and that I had the pleasure of playing the game of football.
Well, Jared, I want to just take a quick second here and say thanks so much for all your great work on Big Game Bound this year. Your insight has been amazing, and just really enjoyed our time talking each week, and can't wait to talk to you from the Super Bowl next week, every day as we do Big Game Bound live from 1 to 2. Rob Collins joins us from Kansas City. Rob, we saw how meaningful that Super Bowl was to Kansas City last year. What would back-to-back titles mean?
Well, first and foremost, Jack, it would mean validation for Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and the entire Chief organization. Many of the players, they're not shy about throwing out that mantra of running it back, and they did so merely after winning the Super Bowl, hours, in fact. Several players, including a defensive tackle, Chris Jones, told me in the locker room that that moment was the beginning of their dynasty, and with Patrick Mahomes, they all expect to contend for Super Bowls for a decade. We know that's one thing to say, right? We can all do the talk, but the Chiefs are walking that walk, and yes, it is extremely difficult. That's why no one's been able to run it back for almost 20 years. And we know the last guy to do it, that Brady fella, he's the only one standing in the way right now.
Yeah, as a guy who covers the Chiefs extensively, you have a front row seat to watch Patrick Mahomes. Have you seen anything like him in your career in any sport? What makes this guy so special?
He's just unbelievable to watch. And honestly, the only people who come to mind over my 25 years in the business are Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods. And I only got to witness their greatness in person a very few times. So I'm not saying Mahomes is on their level yet, but he reminds me of those two icons in the sense of preparation and determination. The day after winning the AFC title games, Mahomes was in the film room preparing for the Super Bowl. I really don't think he gets enough credit, Jack, for his football IQ. We all know God touched his rocket right arm with both hands and rubbed some magic in there, but his decision-making might be the best part of his game. He can do it so fast and so well and rarely makes a mistake. And like Jordan and Tiger, Mahomes does his best work wearing red on Sundays.
Good point. It almost reminds me a little bit of Jack Nicklaus and then Patrick Mahomes. Nicklaus set the mark, and now Tiger Woods is Mahomes. He's the guy who's going after that mark, and it looks like he's got that opportunity. Mahomes was in kindergarten when Brady won his first Super Bowl. Now Brady's going to his 10th. He's won 6. Which team has the advantage at quarterback?
First of all, that makes me and probably most folks watching feel a little bit old there, so thanks for throwing that out there, Jack. Well, it's the Chiefs for me, and I'm not just being a homer here. We all know Brady, and we all know about his bling, and yes, mind-boggling, no doubt. Brady is the greatest of all time, Jack, but Patrick Mahomes right now is the greatest of his time. In their previous 4 matchups, Mahomes has more yards, more touchdowns, fewer interceptions. He's much more mobile, makes him harder and more dangerous to scheme against. And think about this. this. The Chiefs are 25-1 in the last 26 starts with Mahomes in the quarterback. And if we delve into the last 7 games of the playoffs, that's because that's how many Mahomes have played. Both are 6-1. They both have about 2,000 yards. Mahomes has 17 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions, plus 4 rushing touchdowns. Brady in that same time frame, 9 TDs, 7 picks. Brady's propensity to throw those playoff picks is the difference here. Advantage Chiefs.
All right, well, Mahomes did just lose his left tackle. Eric Fisher tore his Achilles, won't play in the Super Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday. How crucial is that loss to Kansas City?
Yeah, that's big. Big fish, as we call them here in Chiefs Kingdom. A big loss indeed. So protecting Patrick Mahomes against that Bucs formidable front seven is going to be a huge key in this game, in my opinion. Now, the Chiefs may not be able to run those long developing plays like Wasp we saw last year in the Super Bowl. That play, a catalyst to their win. O-line issues, though, nothing new to the Chiefs this season because of all their injuries and opt-outs. They've been shuffling O-linemen like an old-school saloon pharaoh dealer. Mike Remmers, he's good. Wiley, good. They have extensive game experience. They'll be serviceable, but containing JPP, Shaq Barrett, and Ndamukong Suh, that'll certainly be a big chore, and big fish will definitely be missed. I'll be interested to see how Coach Reid schemes against that. We'll probably see more quick slants to Tyreek Hill, and we know what he can do when he gets a ball in his hand, so they should be okay there.
How happy are they to get this extra week to rest and get ready?
Well, they're about as happy as Coach Reid getting an extra slice of cheese on a celebratory burger, man. It's working out well for them. Big Red should get back Sammy Watkins and Le'Veon Bell, and Patrick Mahomes and Clyde Edwards-Helaire will also benefit from the extra treatment and rest. Also gives those aforementioned offensive linemen moving positions a little extra time to practice and prepare. And another plus here, the Chiefs are staying in Kansas City until Saturday before leaving to Tampa. So the friendly confines of the kingdom should suit them well on the injury front. The other benefit, we all know Coach Reid is impeccable after a bye. 27-5 coming off a bye week. That's a massive advantage in the biggest game of the year. Maybe even as big as adding bacon on that aforementioned cheeseburger.
Oh, that sounds too good to be true. The last thing, Rob, what did we learn from the regular season matchup between these two teams?
Well, we learned that if Tampa Bay gets off to a slow start, it's going to be almost impossible for them to catch up. If the Chiefs start well like they did in the last game against Tampa, it's going to be over soon. They're going to get boat raced. And if Tyreek Hill goes off for 200 more yards and does backflips in the end zone, that cannon in the end zone of the pirate ship will not be going off. It'll be shooting blanks for the day, because if the Chiefs get out early and they get ahead, this game may get out of hand real fast. And that's exactly what I see happening. Going out on a limb here, man, I think the Chiefs are going to score 40 points on the Bucs and indeed run it back, and Patrick Mahomes and company will be validated from all the naysayers all year long.
Let's say hello to our Bucs correspondent, Dan Lucas. He joins us from Tampa. Dan, Tom Brady moves to Tampa. The Lightning win the Stanley Cup. The Rays get to the World Series. And now the Bucs are in the Super Bowl. Is this a coincidence?
This is the Tom Brady effect. He affects everyone's lives. Like, my food tastes better. The drive to work is better. And it's all because of Tom Brady. And this is just an incredible time to be a Tampa Bay sports fan, not just living in the Bay Area, but if you're you grew up here or you just like the Tampa Bay teams, this has never happened before. And one has just bled into the other because of the pandemic and what it did to scheduling. And this area has just been euphoric for months and months. And it all started when the Bucs signed Tom Brady last spring.
Yeah, it's like a 3-leaf or 4-leaf clover. It's the first time a team has ever played in a Super Bowl. It's hosting. You mentioned a little bit here, but just how fired up is Tampa?
It is, to say fired up is an absolute understatement. People are, I think they've gotten through, I don't know when the shock step is. The shock is over, and then comes the belief. And this place is just ready to burst. The Bucs said the other night, they put out on social media, we love the support, thank you, as they were flying home from Green Bay, but please don't gather at the airport. They gathered anyways, and it was a tremendous scene. Bucs flags, people decked out, and people are just so happy, as any NFL town is when their team accomplishes this. But for this area in particular, that's been around losing and coaching change after coaching change, they're wondering if it's ever going to happen. Just to get to this point for the fans is terrific.
Yeah, this road to get to the Super Bowl wasn't easy. Bucs had to beat Drew Brees in New Orleans, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Now Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are up next. How much confidence does winning the NFC give this team at this point?
Well, they played 3 straight games against division champions in the playoffs, all 3 games on the road. And I know it's not in front of full stadiums and all that aspect was out of it. But this is a huge test. And this is a team, Kansas City, that came to Tampa and jumped on the Bucs 17-0 before fans even settled down in the first quarter. And the Bucs clawed their way back, just never had a chance to win the game. And so I feel like the Bucs have something to prove, and they feel like they can go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs if they can avoid Tyreek Hill running around and Patrick Mahomes running around and throwing the ball. They've got a chance to win this game.
Do you feel like you're playing with house money because you've got number 12 at quarterback?
I think it feels like house money for those of us outside of the building. The team expects to win. They've gone from, oh, look at us, we made the playoffs in Levante David's long Bucs career. He gets into the playoffs finally. That was the great moment a month ago. And now it's all about, they want to win the Super Bowl. But I think that every game the Bucs have won in the postseason has been just a bigger prize and a bigger reward, and has gotten fans more and more excited. And it plays into what you said earlier about the other teams, the Rays and the Lightning reaching their championships and the Lightning winning. It just feeds one into the other. And even if you're not the biggest Bucs fan in the world, you just got to shake your head and laugh. This is amazing.
Now you're facing Patrick Mahomes. He can stress out a defense, but so can Aaron Rodgers. And the Bucs did a solid job against him, especially on the defensive front. Do they dare go after Mahomes in the same way? Because it seems like the more he freelances, the more dangerous he gets.
Yeah, you let Mahomes get out of the pocket, and he's going to just eat you alive. If you have perfect coverage down the field, he's going to run for 12 yards. And that's the challenge with him. The one difference coming into this game, into the Super Bowl for the Bucs, is the nose tackle, Vita Vea. Didn't play in that game against Kansas City back in November. He was injured earlier in the season, broke his ankle, and ended his regular season essentially. But we've gone so long now, he's back. And he was back in the lineup in the NFC Championship game. And I didn't realize what his presence was going to do. Just being on the field and pushing that pocket back a little bit, which is his thing, freed up Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaquille Barrett, the 2 outside linebackers in that 3-4 scheme. Those guys came alive. They had tremendous games against Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers got his yards. He moved the Packers down the field. So that's what the Bucs are trying to do, keep them out of the end zone. But to get pressure on Mahomes, I think they'll have a chance to get to him with Vita Vea on the field.
That'll put a wrap on Big Game Bound. A big thanks to our guests, Jared Payton, Rob Collins, and Dan Lucas. Be sure to join us every day next week. We'll bring you Big Game Bound live from Tampa starting Monday at 1 o'clock. Big guests, great conversation leading up to the game. For Spencer Wheelock and our crew here in Grand Rapids, I'm Jack Doles. Enjoy a week without football.